Hello there, my name is Wokianaru, and welcome back for another round of Painter Simulator. So, it is currently, what is it? I've got to look. I know I went to work yesterday, and the highest it got was 9 degrees. Yeah, it's currently 3 degrees right now. It feels like negative 14. And fair? How is that fair? How is 3 degrees fair? This basement is not technically heated. I mean, it like gets some of the heat and whatnot from this in this house, but I'm currently, wearing a Carhartt hoodie, which so it's thick, and got my hat on, got my hat blanket on, trying to stay warm. Because I hate the cold. But this one, I think this next one, Girl with a Pearl Earring, I think that is because the last one I did, as far as I know, I don't think that was a famous painting. I know we're going to be doing some of them that are, I thought I was just sinking into the ground. There were some of them that we did that weren't famous painting, or that like are or are not famous paintings. Oh, that's so weird. Look at it. With the numbers, that's so strange. With the numbers, you kind of get a weird outline-ish feeling. It was really? That was the really. I still feel like none of these are... I need... What do I need? I need to be... Oh! Hey, my rain cloud. It stays for all of 2 seconds. Thanks, rain cloud. These are just different shades of black. What I need is like what am I thinking? Let me go in here. What is this thing? Rocket launcher. Ooh. Not enough drink. That's fine. I just need to make sure that I have enough triangles to get the next thing. Yeah, but it is freezing cold right now. It's not like even... I don't know if it even got this cold last year. To the point where it was, singular digits and... I told my dad yesterday, I told him, I was like, I want to crawl back into bed and not get back out until summer is here. Like, completely skip over spring and everything, because honestly, screw that. It's not enough. I need to be out of here. And then there will be some of you that are like, well, then why do you live in Ohio? And there will be me saying it's against my will. Not really. So, I mean, at this point, it is technically like a money thing. Moving and whatnot costs money. And I want to get out of this state. think if I won the lottery, like the first thing I'd do is go down to like Hawaii for like the rest of the winter. Why am I not seeing it? Yeah, because these are all double digits. I heard that like even Texas got snow, which is crazy. So I bet the entirety of Texas shut down. What was it? Oh my God, our driveway. Holy moly! It's there are bits of it that are just deadly. You like step on it and you're going to slip and die because it's just straight ice. I mean, we used like ice melt up closer to the house and whatnot, and enough to get us into vehicles. Oh, holy crap. Like, you go further down the driveway and it just turns into straight ice. I live by a river. The river's frozen. And then I'll see things like freaking geese, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? I've never understood Canadian geese. I guess they're flying south for the winter is just flying here. I don't know. No, we have, like... The geese in this state are insane. I fully believe that at least once a year, all Canada, like, forces all of their hate into the geese. And that's why they're supposedly so nice. I personally have never been to Canada, so... And I don't know any Canadians. So, you know, you can believe me on that. But they definitely, you know, once a year, all of Canada does this strange ceremony where they force all of their hatred into the geese. All of their hatred and malice and any negative energy towards the world. And then they mark them as a protected species. That's why they're a protected species, I guess. Because they need them. They need them as a carrier of their hatred. But when you're like driving down the road and you like look over at a river or something, or you know, a lot of this is a thing that I'll never understand. I don't know if it's just a thing in like the north. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention when I was down south that often, but ponds in front of factories. That's like a big thing around here. Like you go to like most factories, and if it's in the right area, it will have a pond in front of it, and therefore there will be geese. Or like watching them laying on the frozen river, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? That can't be comfortable. I just don't understand them. Oh, why am I at number 7? No, I need to finish up 5. I accidentally clicked that button somehow, and it switches every once in a while. There we go. So it looks like there's a lot of 7. Dude, how much paint? Like, how much of this is actually gonna be different, other varying colors? Because I think I've used what now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then only 6 and 7. 7 shades of black. I mean, I guess, okay, look. They're not necessarily all. Wait. I got close to it, and it's like, oh, is my like thing pressed against it? That sounds wrong. Is the nozzle pressed against it or something? That one was relatively easy. This is not how hoses work. See, it's pretty easy to do when you're trying to, because there's a surprising amount of controls for a painting game. I mean, I would suppose that, yeah, it kind of makes sense. This might be interesting in VR. I wonder if there are some. I bet there are some VR painting games. Or, you know, you could just not play it as a video game and just do a paint by numbers. Not everything has to be a video game, me. Okay, what was it? It was the girl with the pearl earring, I think it was called. What was the painting's name? Like I said, I'm not a huge art history major or like art history person. I mean, there are some like works of art and whatnot that I do know and that I do really appreciate. There's this guy on Twitter, or not Twitter. He's like on Facebook and Instagram, and you know, any of the videos that has like the short type video content, he's like posts stuff there. And it's him going to museums and then finding different paintings and whatnot that has people and narrating what he thinks they would be saying. And I find it freaking hilarious. Every single one of his videos is hilarious to me. See, but then there are, like I said, there are some artists that I actually do like. I mean, why did I just forget his name? I like him, but you know, I completely forgot his name. What is his name? I'll spend the rest of this video trying to remember. I have to look it up. If I don't look up things like that, then they eat at my brain until I break. Norman Rockwell. I love Norman Rockwell's paintings. I've always loved Norman Rockwell's paintings. They're amazing. I think it was just because, you know, since I was in like Scouts, I love Norman Rockwell's paintings. They're wonderful. They're like, I even got to like see them in person once at some a very specific exhibition of like his art. Like you went there, you went to whatever museum had them, because it was a museum that had, I don't know if it was very specifically a museum or if it was a, I think it was an art gallery that very specifically like specifies, like it gets people's collections of work and has them for a certain period of time. And I went up there when they had Norman Rockwell's paintings for a while. And seeing them was really cool. I'm so confused why there's one blue dot over here. Why? I watch Bob Ross painting and scream, "Why are you painting like that?" No, I don't. I don't watch that. I don't do that. I'm not that mean. I'm not cruel. I do like Bob Ross though. Bob Ross is cool. I feel like if there was anyone that was, you know, that could get me to be able to go, yeah, I can paint, it would probably be Bob Ross. Because that was like really one of his biggest messages was, you know, anyone can do this. Yeah, he was very much like, anyone can do this, not just me. not just, you know, people that literally spend only like, oh, that's all they do is paint. He seems like he would have been a cool guy to meet. That's the thing. I do get that where it's like you know, the question of people saying like, what would you do with a time machine and whatnot, and then all the different media showing you like the dangers of time travel and whatnot if you go back and meet someone or do something, how it could, you know, butterfly effect. But there are some people that I feel like it'd just be really cool to go back and meet. Like, I don't necessarily have a list. Like, if you were to like ask me as like an icebreaker question or something, who would you like to go back in time and meet? There are some people that I could think of as like a direct answer. Like, I'd love to go on a walk with J.R.R. Tolkien, because he's my favorite writer, and there's I mean, I can't, you know, you just have to take other people's word for it about the whole thing of where he would just stop and like look and talk about like a singular tree for like 20 minutes. So people didn't like going on walks with him. But I think that would be the coolest thing. Though I don't know if my, you know, would have to see if my ADHD brain could take it. If you were, okay, if you're an avid watcher of my videos, then you'd know one of my current New Year's resolutions is to read at least a book a month. This month, I'm in, you know, January, I'm rereading The Silmarillion, and you don't read, you do not read The Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is an experience. And I mean, it wasn't even it was a little bit of a history lesson. The Silmarillion was written by Christopher Tolkien, who is Tolkien's J.R.R. Tolkien's son, using leftover notes and whatnot that he left him when he passed. And it's just like you're reading it, and I mean, you have to like take notes when you're reading the Silmarillion. There's an appendix of just names and whatnot. Since it's the creation myth of Middle Earth and whatnot, and like all these other things, you really have to like pay attention, because there's so many different like people, and a lot of them have different names. They're not just known by, okay, here's your one name. No, they have like, one person can have like 4 or 5 different names. Like, if you know Gandalf wasn't, you know, Gandalf in the beginning. And but he goes by like 5 other names. And there's people in Middle Earth that, you know, are as old as certain things, that it's a lot of the elves will call him different names because they just, you know, they've known him for eons. And then you get things like the hobbits that come in and like hear them speaking, and it's like, I'm just gonna say that's an elf thing. That would be me. If you have any suggestions for books for me to read, I mean, I have plenty in my library that I need to read. But if you have suggestions, go ahead and put them down in the comments below. I'm a pretty big fantasy and fiction fan. Like, if it's fiction, I'll at least take a crack at it. Nonfiction, it like a lot of times just really bores me. Except for like war and that sort of stuff, those things I'm perfectly fine with. Like there's so many movies and whatnot based on, you know, true stories, and there's a lot of those that are in the war genre. And there's like one of them that I know I need to read the book that came out before that someone wrote they made the movie off of. Like, I will fully admit to having seen movies, you know, before reading the books, if it is based off of a book. I actually have a list, because that's one of the things that I want to do when I for one of my rankings for one of the tier list videos is actually my older sibling recommended it, and it's movies based off of books. I'll probably have to throw in a couple TV shows in there because there are some of those. And, you know, of course, one of the criteria for that has to be, you know, how true is it to the book and how much do they omit? And because there's always changes. Anytime you have a like book based off of or a movie or a TV show that's based on a book, there's always changes. You can't have everything, which is kind of, I mean, I would say it's sad, but it's also like sometimes the book stands like well on its own. I'm talking about this and I'm just thinking, because I have an active document of, you know, things. I keep an active document of ideas and whatnot, because if I don't write them down automatically, it'll fall out of my brain and I'll just completely forget about it. I have to see. Like, there are plenty of think about the books you had to read in school. I don't know how that has changed over time, but, you know, I know there was definitely, I want to say we did that once or twice where it was like, okay, we read the book or whatever in English. Now here's here's the movie adaptation or something like that. our teachers would do that on occasion. If you got the right teacher. They'd give that to you as like a little treat. Because there are some people that, you know, when they read books, they can't envision. That's a thing. There are some people that cannot see in their they if you were to close your mind and think of, I think I've talked about this in the past, where there's people that the way their imagination and whatnot works is if they were to close their eyes, they can't think of, if you were to get a group of people together and tell them, okay, I want everyone to think of an apple. Think of an apple, and yes, this is the woman with the pearl earring. Now I know what this painting is. It's starting to take shape, so I know what painting this is. But tell everyone in the room, think of an apple and whatnot. And then you'd have everyone describe what they see when they close their eyes. And some people, they just don't see anything. And they don't see anything in their mind. And then you get some people that have a little bit, they see a little bit of, like, they maybe see an outline of an apple, or they see, you know, just enough. And then there's people like me that, like, I can see a hyper-realistic. I can see it, like, hyper-realistically in my mind. I can see an apple. I could see an orchard. But the human brain is fascinating. And I don't think we will ever fully comprehend how it works. Because, you know, we have supercomputers and whatnot that we're, like, trying to make that mimic the human brain and all these things. And I just don't think it's possible. Just due to the ways in which the human mind changes and all these things, I don't think it would ever be fully possible to encapsulate its functionality. And since you know, there's so many people on Earth, so there's so many different minds thinking in different ways. I mean, have we crossed the 8 billion mark yet for population? I don't think we have. I don't think we've crossed that mark yet. We might have. I don't know. It's been a while since I've checked, because, you know, that's a thing I regularly check up on. If we haven't yet, I feel like we're definitely due to pretty like within a couple years, if we haven't already yet. I want the rocket launcher. I want to see what that does. I mean, launches rockets, obviously, but it probably does a little bit better than the bomb, would be my guess. Okay, this one seems to work pretty well in this standard. Because you know how we were using this before, but we were using it on, like, the 3D models of things, and I feel like it didn't work as well on those. But it feels like it works pretty well here because I can see a little bit easier when something isn't fully shaded in. Yeah, like there, like that. I could see that pretty well, but with the 3D things, I couldn't see all of the, I couldn't see all of it at once, so I couldn't see where I was missing things. But with this, I can definitely see. Where I'm missing things and whatnot. Happy I'm getting to record a video right now. My work schedule's been a little bit weird. Yeah, you know what? That makes sense now. Now that I know what painting it is, I do remember that it does have a very... she is very much the center focus, and there's very much nothing else to the painting other than her. But yeah, like I was saying, my work schedule's been crazy, and it's like I'm filling in a lot for people because we're, oh my God. I'd be filling in for our providers if I could. Holy crap. People keep getting hit with illness and whatnot. So, every once in a while, people go down for a bit. But, working in healthcare, every once in a while, someone's gonna, you work around sick people all day. You're gonna get got eventually. I mean, I did. I got got. I'm still semi-recovering from COVID, and I mean, because when that hits you, mine wasn't too bad. I'll say mine was a very mild case because, knock on wood, but, ugh. I do have to say I never want to get that again. Very specifically because of the first night that I knew I was sick. It wasn't even like, yeah, it was cold outside, but it wasn't as cold as it is now. And I keep my door, the door to my room closed, and it's a fairly small room, and with the things within it, it keeps it pretty, it keeps it warm because there's not as much area for there to need to be hot air to go into. And so I go into my room and it'll be really nice and toasty. And it was, but I had 2 comforters on myself, and I'm sitting there shaking and freezing the whole freaking night. Oh, it was bad. I can't remember the last time that I was actively shivering from the cold. I mean, yeah, I do get cold and whatnot, but I just get cold. But you know how, shaking is that thing your body does very specifically for a specific reason. And I was, oh my God, it's awful. Yeah, I don't remember the last time that, like, I mean, even with doing a lot of camping and whatnot, as a scout, I don't remember shaking that much. We had a very specific activity. There was it's a pretty common thing in scouting. It's called Camp Alaska, and of course it's a wintertime camping event that people do. And it's basically just like surviving for however long outside. It is a like survival video that you'd see on YouTube of someone like, I'm challenging myself to survive outside for however long, or 24 hours, or and that's what it is. You'd go outside for 24 to 48 hours and you'd build yourself a shelter. You'd keep warm. You actually had to prepare for Camp Alaska every year. There were like meetings. There were your weekly meetings that you'd have that they'd very specifically be dedicated to preparing for Camp Alaska. So you'd go and do things like, okay, this meeting is going to be about food. This is like, because you're going to be camping, you're going to be cooking over a campfire. You're going to be, and you need to basically ration correctly. As everything you're bringing out there, you're bringing out there in your backpack. And you want to know, okay, what is the most like nutritious / dense, and what can keep me warm, because that's only the half of it. But then you'd go and have like a meeting on, okay, we're gonna build shelters this meeting, we're gonna practice our shelter building, and you get to decide, okay, how are we gonna do this. We always went with semi simple shelters, even though I know how to make more difficult shelters, but semi simple tarp shelters. But then you'd also decide things like, okay, it's not just gonna be, you could, if you wanted to go, okay, I'm gonna have a shelter by myself, or you could be like, here's my buddy, me and my buddy are gonna share a shelter. And that was a good thing sometimes, because if you were at one of the colder events, then, or like if you're at one of the, like you were doing a colder weekend, then having another person to steal their body heat. It was normally a troop by troop thing. So, your troop would plan whatever weekend they were going to go out and do that. If your troop did it, you got a special badge if you went out and it was below 0. It was one of those events that you did, but it was, you had to do it with care. Because if you do it without, know-how and all these other things, then you can get sick, you can get injured. I mean, there's plenty of things in scouting that I remember that took time. That there was even things that I taught very specifically. You weren't allowed to carry a knife, pocket knife or whatnot, without it. We had 2 things. It was your totem chip and your fireman chit. And I bet if I went and I found them, like went and looked, I might be able to find mine. They were little cards that we had that said you went through this training for proper, because it wasn't just like a pocket knife and whatnot. It was also, it was all of our like wood tools. So, axes, saws, hatchets, and then like the camp that I worked at, there were merit badges that required you to have said thing. So, you know, you'd go and you'd like have, if you did like a wood carving merit badge or something like that, you'd need your totem chip. So, it was TOTIN apostrophe chip, CHIP, and then fireman, chit. It's a chip and a chit, which is CHIT. I taught those for a couple years when I worked at the camp. And it was very much one of those things like young kids the younger scouts would come and get them. You could lose. There was, they changed the rules after a while, but you could lose them, you know, by misbehaving, things like that, or having, I wouldn't say incidents with knives, or just basically if like your scoutmaster caught you playing with your pocket knife or something like that and not respecting it. They changed the rules after a while, but it used to be that like they would take it and they'd snip off a corner, because it was, like I said, it was a little card that you'd carry in your wallet. They'd snip off that corner, and then if you lost all four corners, you lost your totem chip, and you'd have to go and you'd have to do the course again. And you weren't allowed to carry until you did so. It was very much one of those to get people to respect those tools, because they were tools that you'd use a lot. You'd use an axe a lot, or whatever tool. It didn't seem like it was very spread out, I mean, the usage, but you did realize after a while that, hey, yeah, I do use these things a lot, especially on camping trips. And then when you went out to camp for like a week, you'd use those things very often, so you needed it. Like even the store, there was a it was a trading post is what we called it, and that's very universal for lots of things. But you'd go to your trading post and they had a whole bunch of different things, and they did have knives that they did sell. However, they would not sell you a knife if you did not have your totem chip. You had to have your totem chip if you wanted to buy a knife. So it would be like, what was it? Monday or something like that of the week. So you start the week on Sunday. That was just like everyone getting to camp and setting up their tents and all the. Basically, it was just, everyone getting to camp, and it was a whole day thing. So, and then we had activities on Sunday, but it would be like we had a campfire where the staff members and whatnot would do skits, and it was introducing that camp season. And then Monday was the start of merit badges, and you'd go to your merit badges, but there were other activities like those classes, the firemanship, the totenship that I did. I was the one that, taught those in the area that I worked at, because you went to a very specific area to get them. Did you know girl with a pearl earring is also referred to as the Mona Lisa of the North? It was painted in the Netherlands during the 17th century. That's right. I was like, I know it's a northern painting. Okay, what do we have next? I'm just gonna go with the lady with an ermine. Why do we not know the painter for the girl with a pearl earring? Johannes Vermeer painted girl with a pearl earring. Apparently. Yeah, no, I'm not a huge, like I said, not a huge art history person. I do know art history for construction purposes, like design purposes. Had to learn that in college for theater things. Okay, I'm gonna end this one here though. This has been a very informative session, I suppose. But I'm all out of time for this one. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.